All right, thanks, Randy, and good morning to everybody. Again, I'm Clay Nowlin, and I just want to thank everybody here today for attending and letting us speak with you about our firm and what we do for our community. Um, John, as he said, he joins me today to host the virtual business networking mixer, and I just like to say thanks to Randy and Travis for providing us this forum to get to meet together, and hopefully one day we can do something like this in person again. And I think things are opening up to allow for that. But you guys do an awesome job serving our community with the chamber, and we appreciate being asked to host this event. So we thought this would be a great opportunity to share a little bit about our firm, our involvement with the chamber, and all the things that we can offer for our local community to benefit from. And so I always like to say we're not necessarily just a traditional CPA firm, and we actually identify ourselves as a CPA-led advisory firm. And so I look forward to John elaborating on what that means and talk about all the things that we do for our clients. Randy's already done a pretty good job introducing ourselves, but John, if you want to go to the next slide, again, I'll reiterate, John is the South Atlantic Regional Managing Partner for our firm. And John is an author, a public speaker, world traveler, and just a really great leader of our firm. And I'm looking forward for you guys to get a chance to meet him and hear about all the things he does for our firm, as well as others around our firm. And John, if you want to go to the next slide. Again, I'm Clay Nowlin. I'm an assurance manager. Most of what I do with our clients is revolved around financial statements, anything from audits to accounting and business advisory and tax related matters. And again, I'll just reiterate, I was born and raised here in Mount Airy, and very involved in our community, and love the opportunity to connect with other people in our area, and I'm proud to work for a company that we can really serve our small town with services that really aren't typically provided in towns of our size. So just thanks for giving us this opportunity to present. And one thing, John, if you want to go to the next slide, one thing I wanted to start out with is the history of our firm, because there's a lot of familiar names and faces that have been here in our office in Mount Airy that people don't necessarily associate with Aprio yet. And so, I figured we'd take it back to in 1987, Haynes Strand was founded by John Haynes and Austin Strand. And since then, the firm has been through numerous partners, and I figured I'd name a few. We've got Sam Gentry on the line with us as well today. But
and Sam is also, Randy, earlier you said you were casual today. I want you to know Sam is also dressed casual. He took his coat off for this meeting.
Sam is never casual. So
welcome, Sam.
And Jeff Gordon and Chris Bunting, and so those are some, I would hope, familiar names to some of you all in our area. But so the firm was founded in 1987, then merged into with a firm called LBA, which was started by John Bly, and we operated as LBA Haynes Strand for about 3 years. And then most recently, back in, I guess it was November of 2019, we merged into Aprio. So we went from an office of probably 6 partners total to an office with 80 partners total. And John will tell some more statistics about the firm, but we have really grown our footprint, and ultimately, it's allowed us to serve our local clients in a way that we could have never dreamed of as a small firm. So John was actually CEO of our firm back when we were LBA Haynes Strand, and so now he operates as that for our region. So I invited him to join me on the call. I look forward to you guys getting to hear from him. And with that, I'll turn it over to you, John.
Clay, if I could throw out one quick thing, and Randy knows this, but the first thing, Randy, we did in '87 when we started this firm was join the chamber. And it's been a great vehicle for us to work with. And I know John Haynes was past president. Jeff Gordon was a past president. So we certainly appreciate, and you've certainly been great to us also. So we certainly appreciate our relationship with the chamber over these many years.
Thank you, Sam.
Yeah, and I see Jeff Gordon has just joined us, and it may not get confusing in Mount Airy, but it definitely gets confusing in Charlotte when we call for dinner reservations and Jeff's in town and we make reservations for Jeff Gordon Party of Four. It's amazing how nice the tables are that we get. That doesn't always happen maybe in Mount Airy because everybody knows which Jeff Gordon it is, but in Charlotte, we never make reservations under John Bly, that's for sure. So
they're always disappointed when I arrive, though.
I gotta tell a quick side story. I have 3 girls, and in pre-K, one of my kids was in class with Jeff Gordon's child, the race car driver. And my wife and Jeff Gordon, the other Jeff Gordon, showed up to do like one of these pumpkin patch, take the kids to a pumpkin patch, and they needed a bunch of chaperones. And my wife only got one kid, just my own, to ride with her. Everybody wanted to ride with Jeff Gordon, and they piled in his black Yukon. They got about 10 kids in the thing, and my wife was like, I don't know why nobody wanted to ride with me. She felt really sad. Anyway, so I get to hang out with Jeff Gordon every day, just a different one. Randy, by the way, to the extent anybody wants a copy of the book, happy to give you, if you'll email either Clay or myself at the end. Happy to do that. Randy, you were too kind to say the things you said. So Aprio at a glance, we've got 700 plus team members, 86 partners. I think, Clay, you hit the nail on the head when you said, we're blessed to be a strong presence in Mount Airy, and for the Mount Airy community itself. It's a little bit unique to have the breadth and depth of services and opportunities to collaborate across different industries with a firm our size. I think you said it right when you said, that's unusual, and we're excited about always staying in Mount Airy. Our history dates back pre-'87. Sam Gentry goes back a lot longer than that with Strand Ski, and so it definitely goes back many decades. And we'll get into some of the industry specialty. One of the things that's pretty unique about our firm is that highlight on the bottom, which is that 25% of the firm is foreign born. It really helps as you think about business has become much more international in the last couple of decades. It really has helped us help clients when they think about expanding overseas, or they think about having sales overseas, or there's been some international investors who have looked to invest inside of the United States. That's been really helpful because we speak 30 plus languages. I only speak English, and I don't even do that very well, but there are people who do much better than me within the firm. And we have clients that do business in 50 plus countries around the world, focused a lot in Asia Pacific and Latin America, and then Europe, the English speaking European countries. Here's our office. If you look at our pattern here, we're mostly in the Southeast. We do have an office in New York City. The reason for that is we play some of our clients and some of Mount Airy companies, if you look at the last couple of decades, have had private equity groups come in and take stakes in companies. We felt like New York, we had to have a presence in New York to build that expertise and to be part of that community and to be able to serve clients when they're looking for those exits in the future and looking for the right capital partners as they expand their business. We have offices in Atlanta, Charlotte, Greensboro, Mount Airy, Nashville, and Birmingham. Here in Mount Airy, we work a lot in the North Carolina and Tennessee markets. We are 4 offices. We really act like one most of the time, thanks to really Jeff Gordon. Since he's on, I'll give him all the credit. Jeff does an incredible job of keeping us focused on being one office in 4 locations. And so he really leads that effort for us. Diverse client base, like who does Aprio serve? What are we focused on? We're focused on the middle market client base and that sphere of influence around them, right? So it's small businesses and entrepreneurs. If you look at Aprio as a whole, it was started, the LBA Haynes Strand side was founded by entrepreneurs. If you look at Sam and the team that started Haynes Strand in '87, and if you look at the LBA side in 2004 that I started, we consider ourselves business owners. So whereas many people are accountants first, we're business owners first. We happen to own a piece of an accounting firm. And so we come at it from a different lens than many accountants, in that we look at it and say, what's the business case? Don't let the tax decision or the accounting decision, don't let that tail wag the dog. It should be, what's the good business decision? And then how do we make the tax answer correct? And how do we make sure that it's efficient from a capital perspective? Individual clients, we don't do any public company work except for specialty services, which we'll talk about in a couple slides. Things like the research and development credit, the employee retention credit, which has become a big thing in the last 6 months. Things like that, specialty services is what we focus on there. For those of you who might have, this is a pitch not for clients, but for maybe some of your family members who are looking for a great place to work. We are seen as an incredible place to work. We are always recruiting. It doesn't have to be in Mount Airy, as the world has gone virtual. If you have family members who are in the accounting profession and looking for a change, if we had Logan Gerald, who sits in Mount Airy, also a Mount Airy guy, our HR recruiter, he would tell you the same thing. We've gone virtual as we've had to over the last 16 months, like many, and we recruit from anywhere in the country. We're looking for good talent. So to the extent you have people that might be relatives or friends that are looking for something in the industry, we'd love to have a conversation. Send them to Clay. Deep industry expertise. So what's different between what we used to do and what we do now? A lot of it is focused, as Randy said, Clay serves in the manufacturing and distribution space. So that means that a lot of his client base, both now and in the future, will focus on that industry. It allows us to bring more breadth and depth to our clients around business expertise, not just, debits and credits and GAAP accounting and tax rules. So each of these areas are critical for us. These are our top niches. If you look at dental, we have expanded drastically there. We currently serve 450 dentists in the Southeast, focused between Richmond, Virginia, and Atlanta, Georgia, and as far west as Nashville. We have 4 partners that's all they do is serve dental clients. It's very focused. It's very specific. It's very consulting focused to help those people bring value to their business. And so each of our areas are focused in very, very deep niches. When we talk about services, Clay mentioned we're a CPA-led advisory firm. What we like to think about here is that we're a CPA firm at its core, and that's how it was started. But the reality is our clients are asking many things from us. And so we've built services around the things that they're looking for to help them. One of the things that, for instance, that's a bit unique here is in the bottom right-hand corner, treasury optimization. So there's some clients who haven't looked at, say, their merchant services, their credit card processing in years. We help them take a look and analyze if they're getting the best rates, and how can we help them, talk to their current treasury platform to find a better way. That's something unique, but the reality is we have the opportunity to help clients in some cases. Just this past year, just in the last 2 months, we helped a client save $150,000 a year in their credit card processing fees. Again, nothing to do with tax and accounting, but it's something that clients are asking us about because they ask us about what we're seeing in the community, what we're seeing from our client bases. You can see this slide deck, and so I'm not going to go through each of these services because we can share the deck after, Randy, if it's helpful, and you can, yeah, you're nodding, so you can pass it out. We're coming up on time, so I do want to keep it brief. One thing that we're just launching, it launched, what's today? Thursday, it launched on Tuesday, is the Aprio Advisory Podcast. So we launched a podcast. Many of you may have already received an email or seen it on social media. I'm lucky enough to be the host. I have a face for podcasts, and so since they're all audio, I'm perfect for that. And so I'm hosting regular business leaders within the communities that we sit in, both within Mount Airy, in North Carolina, Tennessee, New York, to talk about what's going on in business and how our clients and our listeners can benefit from the stories that our clients have. And with that, I'll turn it over to Randy for questions.
But I'd be interested to hear from you, John and Clay, and anybody else that wants to respond. What do you think is probably one of the biggest errors, mistakes that small business people, I mean, the majority of the people joining us this morning are small business people. What's the biggest error that's being made by the small business community out there when it comes to accounting, taxes, finance? Any thought?
I honestly, there's a bunch of them. It depends on what they're doing. If they're trying to like do it yourself, DIY it or something, which you're nodding. So I'd say the biggest is that they're just not taking advantage of all the potential opportunities, number one. And then they're potentially adding risk to their portfolio in decision making. So they might be doing some things that they're not allowed to do, and they might be missing a whole bunch of things that they are allowed to do. And as an example, one that we see mistakes made around a lot is retirement plans. The financial advisor is doing everything they're supposed to do, and it's not a financial advisor problem. It's the tax and the way it's married up with the wealth plan just doesn't align. And we see that people who are do-it-yourself people end up putting dollars in retirement they're legally not allowed to, or the opposite. They could have put a bunch more in and they didn't realize it. And I'd say that's a decent size one that we end up cleaning up.
Don Masura had a question, and in fact, this was on the NBC News this morning. What have you done to respond to the rapid increase in account hacking from international criminals? That was just on the news this morning, and apparently a big issue. Any thoughts, John and Clay or Sam, anybody on that issue?
Yeah, so ironically, we recently merged in a cybersecurity business to address this for clients because our clients are having big issues. So a couple of things we do, right? We have a managed cybersecurity offering to help people manage that. Second thing we do is we have a partner in Greensboro named Dave Rashan, who focuses on risk management and designing controls to protect exactly that. We have had clients who have had cyber attacks, and then, because they didn't plan for it, we've gone in, we've remediated the issue, we've built controls so that it hasn't happened again. But proactive approach is significantly better than a reactive approach in that case. And certainly Jeff, Sam, and Clay, if you have different thoughts, feel free to weigh in. But definitely the risk management side and planning for it up front is way better than getting attacked later. And it's happening a lot. It happens in really strange ways. And I'll give an example is, it happens in somebody's, and if you haven't seen this yet, you might in the next year or two. Somebody mimics the controller or bookkeeper or somebody's email. It looks almost the same. It comes through and says, hey, can you send a wire to X, Y, or Z? Well, by that point, they already know that you were probably doing wires. X, Y, or Z is pretty close to whatever you normally sent the wire to. And they duplicate it. They've been tracking your email for weeks to figure this out. And it's very highly technical in the way they perpetrate this fraud.
There was another question here that we'll end on, and that is Bob had asked us, does the firm advise on how a client might raise capital by going public? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, we do. We don't help people go public, but we advise on the strategy. We advise on where the capital is, and we do actually have a partner who's working specifically on some of the newer forms of going public, the SPACs that they're calling them, the special purpose entities, where there's a holding shell that's already gone public, and then you do a reverse merger, and we've done a decent amount of that. And I think there was a second part to that question around programs for minimizing capital gains in a sale, and absolutely. Although I will qualify it with the current tax administration does not look capital gains friendly in the current proposal. Now it's still got to get through Congress, but doubling the capital gains rate won't be awesome for sales of companies.
Yeah, well, that was part of Bob's question too, that ideas for minimizing capital gains in a sale.
Yeah, so Definitely there's a handful of planning opportunities, whether it's some trust stuff, whether it's, which Sam Gentry focuses a lot on, whether it is a qualified opportunity zone, which is rolling some of the gains tax-free into another investment vehicle.
Right.
There's a handful of opportunities there.
And
Well,
Randy, I'll mention John's book has a lot of good ideas. John is a company looking to sell as they grow. I think it's an excellent guide, to get a business ready to sell, which really means you're running it from an optimal standpoint, right, John? You try to optimize your profit, and to brag on John's book a little, it does have some very good parts dealing with later sale of a business, right, John? That's not directly addressing raising capital, but it would address, getting the business in the best shape you can get it in, right, John?
Yes.
Focusing on areas that you can improve the business over the years to make it look very attractive, which would help in raising capital too.